yesterday we finished our latest book, which was Roar of the Ganges by Swami Tadatmananda. There are still a few pages left to read, although we finished the last chapter. There is an afterword, some further information, and a section about the author, which we can read. But let us save that for the end of this live. And now let us begin an entirely new book. This book is called In Love at Ease. It is also gifted to me by Sky Guardian. It is from the BAPS, which is an organization that revolves around bhakti, devotion, seva, selfless service, and it was created after a great being had incarnated at the turn of the 19th century, known as Swaminarayan. That organization had a series of successors. One of those successors was Pramukh Swami Maharaj, who is pictured here. And this is everyday spirituality with such a great being. Pramukh Swami Maharaj ended up leaving his body, and the current successor is Mahant Swami Maharaj, who I have had the honor of receiving blessings from. The BAPS is the childhood Sampradaya of Sky Guardian, who has sent this book to me for us to read. And so today we will just be reading the introduction. Well, not the literal introduction yet, but some introductory words like a note from the author, a list of common Indic words in the text which can serve as a reference for later, as well as a preface. Sky Guardian has also volunteered to clip out the reading segments, so if ever you are watching this playlist and you would like some reference on the Indic words, you can always come back to this part where we go through. So, let us read the note from the author. The Swaminarayan Sampradaya was founded by Bhagwan Swaminarayan or Sahajanand Swami at the turn of the 19th century. He was born in 1781 in Chapaya, a small village near Ayodhya in Uttar Pradesh, India. He left home at the age of 11 and traveled across the subcontinent for 7 years to engage with diverse people and religious communities. In Gujarat, he started a spiritual and social reform movement that eventually shaped modern Hindu religiosity and broader Indic spirituality in India and the diaspora. One of the many worthy lines of succession, one of the more prominent ones, is through a lineage of spiritual gurus, that is to say, spiritual masters. Gunatitanand Swami was the first, followed by Bhagatji Maharaj, Shastraji Maharaj, and Yogiji Maharaj. Pramukh Swami Maharaj was the fifth and arguably the most significant spiritual successor in this lineage. Mahant Swami Maharaj is the sixth spiritual successor and, at the time of reading, current guru. The objective of this publication is to make the life of Pramukh Swami Maharaj accessible, without presuming much familiarity with Swaminarayan or Hindu terminology, and Gujarati vocabulary on the reader's part. I have therefore tried to use English translations wherever possible. This is tricky since his stories are embedded in a particular cultural and geographical context. Gujarat and Gujarati are central to experience, especially for understanding theology, ritual, and customs. I therefore occasionally use the original Indic terms. Since I chose not to include a glossary in this book, listed next are words that appear frequently in the text. When I use an Indic word, I provide an English translation, and in parentheses, I italicize it the first time it appears. When necessary, I have given a more detailed explanation or description of an Indic term or tradition in a footnote for the reader's reference. As a native speaker of Gujarati and a trained scholar of Indic languages and religions, I fought my initial impulse to use diacritic notations to transliterate Gujarati words. Though this usually helps the reader with pronunciation, it burdens the text visually and makes it harder to follow. For this reason, I have avoided it completely in the book. The names of bhaktas, devotees in this book, are followed by honorifics commonly used in Gujarat and the Swaminarayan community. I use bhai, brother, when referring to men, and bain, sister, when referring to women. I grew up in the community and have looked up to and learned from many of the persons mentioned in this book. I find it discourteous to address them just by their first names. I reference two sacred texts throughout the book, the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, attributed to Veda Vyas, which is a part of the Mahabharata. The text records the dialogue between Sri Krishna Bhagavan and Arjuna on matters of deep Indic philosophy, that is to say, on the Atman, the self, karma, action, bhakti, devotion, and jnana, experiential spiritual wisdom, and is one of the most widely read sacred Hindu texts. The Vachanamrut, which we are also reading during our lives that I have here, the canonical text of the Swaminarayan community, records the religious discourses between Bhagwan Swaminarayan and his disciples, occurring between 1819 and 1829, which were the last 10 years of his life. The text was compiled by four of his senior disciples, Muktananda Swami, Gopalananda Swami, Nityananda Swami, and Shukananda Swami. Early manuscripts of the compilation were presented to and approved by Bhagwan Swaminarayan. Finally, the bhaktas, devotees, within the bochas, I'm always going to have trouble, I think, with what BAPS stands for, the Bochasanwasi Akshar Purushottam Swaminarayan Sampradaya, also known as the BAPS Swaminarayan Sampradaya, or BAPS for short, and the broader Hindu community address Pramukh Swami Maharaj with various names and titles. It can be confusing for those who have not heard them used in different contexts. I simplify this for the reader by using the following names and titles: Pramukh Swami Maharaj, His Holiness Pramukh Swami Maharaj, and Swami Rishi. When addressed by those outside the community, His Holiness is often called Swamiji. Ji and Shri are both honorifics that serve the same purpose. I chose to follow the convention from within the community for uniformity and mostly refer to him as Swami Rishi. Oh, I'm sorry. It's Swami Shri, not Swami Rishi. Rishi is an ancient Vedic seer, often attributed to the works of the Vedas. My mind read Swami Shri as Swami Rishi, but it's Swami Shri. On the rare occasion that I must reference other names in the description of specific incidents, I use his initiation name, Narayan Swarup Das Swami, his childhood name, Shantilal, and Papa, a name commonly used by his disciples and those in Gujarat to display affection towards him. Now, on to the list of common Indic words in the text, and then we'll read the preface as well. The first is Arti, worship ritual of waving lighted wicks before sacred images. Atman, the self, soul, inner self, also Atma. Bhajan, which is to worship, devotional songs. Bhakta is a spiritual aspirant, a devotee. Bhakti, which is devotion itself. Darshan, which is viewing or beholding of a spiritual figure or deity with reverence and devotion. There's Dharma, which is the codes of social and civil conduct. Guru, a spiritual master, one who leads to enlightenment by imparting spiritual wisdom. Jnana, which is experiential spiritual wisdom. Katha, spiritual discourse. Kirtan, devotional poem and music. Mandir, a Hindu house of worship. A murti, a sacred image of the divine. Prasad, food sanctified by being offered to God, also prasadi. Puja, personal worship ritual performed in the morning, or any act of worship or ritual. Sabha, spiritual assembly. Sadhu, a monk or a holy person, ascetic or renunciate, or even just a truthful person. And seva, selfless service without expectation for reward and recognition. Satsang, the practice of spirituality, associating with the Guru, fellow devotees, one's inner self, and the sacred scriptures of the fellowship. Literally means the company of or association with the truth. And finally, Swami, a monk, ascetic, or renunciate, or knower of one's inner self. It's an honorific title. Jai Swaminarayan. Now, I recognize that this preface is actually a little longer than I anticipated, so we'll pause our reading there for now, and tomorrow we'll read through the preface and hopefully begin chapter 1, the introduction as well. But as I said before, later on in this live, we'll read through the conclusion, some of the afterwords of another book that we were reading, or the Ganges. But I thank you all for listening thus far. When ending a book and starting a new one, we do have to go through some formalities in the transition, which I trust you understand. So thank you. And thank you for listening.